Someday recently, I was doom scrolling on YouTube, watching shorts, and I stopped on one that was one of those half and half deals. I didn't have the wherewithal to record it, so here's a Reddit thread that I found while searching for an example. At the top of the screen, there was some gameplay footage, and at the bottom, there was someone sitting in a gamer chair and talking to their chat. That didn't really matter to me because I was fixated on the gameplay up top, because as soon as I saw it, I made up my mind that it was one of those AI generated trailers that was meant to look like gameplay footage, and I hated it for that. I also hate this stool that I'm sitting on. If you can hear it squeaking, or if you hear me tapping it every now and then, just pretend it's not there. But it's okay if you hate it, because sometimes you just hate something so innately, with such casual certainty, that you're not even really sure why. Of course, as soon as I had made my judgment about the video, the streamer in the short looked over to read his chat and spoke up to let one of his chatters know that whatever it was not AI generated or assisted in any way. Big reflection moment for me. In that moment, I had to ask myself, why was it that I made such an incorrect decision so vehemently? I then split that into 3 more specific questions because I was feeling like an intellectual. The first, why did I think it was AI? The second, what was I comparing it to? And the third, if I couldn't tell that this was real, can I trust my perception even if I feel that I have a decent degree of media literacy understanding? Then I immediately dropped the first 2 because I decided they were dumb. Clearly, I was on some sort of a mission. Unfortunately, the first stop on that mission was a rabbit hole about media literacy. So, without further ado, what is media literacy?
This guy stinks!
The National Association for Media Literacy Education defines media literacy as the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act using all forms of communication. And according to some others, being able to access, analyze, and evaluate information for accuracy and reliability across a variety of mediums is crucial for us to make decisions. Okay, prove it, you say. Citations from reputable sources mean nothing to me. What is this, high school? Give me some pathos. I need to feel something. Fine, I'm bringing up COVID. It's been estimated that we lost around 1/3 people in this country alone over refusals to vaccinate, largely due to anti-science disinformation and counterfactual news media. A whole lot of it accelerated by things like, according to a study published in the British Medical Journal in 2025, generative AI chatbots still can't get their shit straight when it comes to reporting accurate medical information. So when you put that in the bin with artists having their intellectual property stolen by large corporations, and the fact that companies like JP Morgan are warning people that artificial intelligence could eliminate 10 to 25 million jobs over the next 1 to 5 years. And I can kind of understand the fervor with which we often dismiss AI art or the use of generative tools in media. And though I made it through the pandemic, and I've to date never had any art stolen, except for that sketchbook in the 8th grade, James, I know it was you, dude. Anyway, I can still recognize that all these rationales are valid, albeit more as a critique for our economic system than for the use of artificial intelligence in traditionally organic fields. I can also acknowledge that my own grounding is super flawed here. When I refocus on the questions that launched this air quotes heavy investigation, I realized that the reason I dropped the first 2 questions was because they were essentially just reasons for me to badmouth other creative projects that I personally disliked. The real point of this whole exercise in chasing my own tail lay within the question that initiated it. If I couldn't tell that this was real, can I trust my perception even if I feel that I have a decent degree of media literacy understanding? It's just really bad framing, right? I mean, of course, what I saw was real, whether it had been hand coded or assisted by a learning algorithm, it was art. So the whole premise is flawed. This probably should have stayed in the drafts, and maybe that's true. but I'm a fan of learning from my mistakes. And my mistake here was a critique formed before I'd even taken in the full picture in front of me. And even though it probably wasn't necessary, I looked that one up too. It's called bias. My biases concerning AI involvement in things like the creation of art or shared experiential narrative media has to do with fear. A fear that many Americans share, just more so focused on art and media in my case. A concept that we invented to communicate with each other, to bring about the rise of feelings or answers to questions or questions themselves almost out of thin air. To protect that, my bias held that the tradition of media continue only in the ways that already existed when I aged into consciousness. Because if it changes, then so must my understanding of it. So naturally, I'm sitting here thinking, is media literacy behind the curve? Is that something worth talking to strangers about online? Is there maybe something to be said about the need for more rapidly evolving standards in media literacy education to meet the rising tide of a whole new type of media? Maybe, I guess, but maybe AI media isn't even really a new type of media. Maybe it's just good old-fashioned art made with new tools. Maybe we're just utilizing our ability to create and adapt implements to enrich and often to harm our natural pursuits, as we have done since we came around. And it's not so much about differentiation as it is about appreciation. As computer learning pioneer and renowned AI artist Mario Klingman puts it, and this is a long one, just like life has the tendency to emerge even under the most adversarial conditions, so does art. Like some lichen growing on rocks high in the mountains, or bacteria growing in some deep-sea crevices, so does art use every opportunity to expand its surface if it promises to acquire more attention or some as yet unpopulated space to breathe. In our society, it happens that most of the new surfaces that emerge are of a technological nature, and art has always been a pilot species that quickly populates any type of new invention or new medium. So for me, AI is just one tool in a long history of tools that was bound to be used for artistic purposes. Now, something about that quote just kinda scratches an itch in my brain that I didn't really know was there. I mean, the dude basically goes on to champion media literacy by saying, it's my hope that once we get beyond the novelty effect of what we currently consider as AI art, and with more exposure to this type of aesthetic, we will learn to expand our visual vocabulary and become able to see the finer nuances. I'm not really doing a video about the relationship between AI art and media literacy. I'm looking for an answer to a question I want to ask, but lack the words to do so. But I think I found them here in Mario Klingman's work, Memories of Passersby 1. The work centers on a series of uncanny portraits generated by a thinking AI model created and trained by Klingman to draw upon historical sources from the 17th to 19th century and create ad infinitum. I'm going to cut that out. Portraits of people who never existed. The portraits are displayed side by side via two monitors connected to the central chestnut-cased console housing the creative agent. And surrealist influence is so alive in every image the model spits out, confronting the viewer with the sort of disinterested play of thought that so provokes it in turn. It almost forces one to seek understanding of the hitherto understood by transforming it from mundane to something close to eldritch. compulsive beauty in a most effective and potentially just as explosive delivery format as the ones Andre Breton had in mind. In reference to his project and the ways in which artificial intelligence and neural networks have evolved to facilitate his work, Klingman says, "Now that I have the possibilities to create and control my own visual universes, the question remains, what is it that I ultimately want to find there?" That question is at the heart of his piece, as well as the heart of this one. What is it that Klingman ultimately wants to find? Is it some version of the safe understanding of art that I held so close to my chest? Definitely not. But whatever it is, it doesn't so much matter as the fact that we always seem to find it by staring down that which feels uncanny, by confronting what feels strange or scary or pointless or challenging or value antithetical, and observing, researching, learning, and reassessing our axioms if necessary. Somehow, again, it's about the journey and not the destination. Throughout this journey, I've come to learn a new appreciation not just for AI art and media, but the general evolution of expression that's inherent to our species. And definitely the double take. And I'm sure there's more to come. Not really sure what to call this one. Like, part of me is like, I kind of wrote an essay here, but I haven't written an essay in a very long time, and so I'm not even really sure if this qualifies as one. But whatever it is, it was fun, and it's part of a new habit that I'm trying to build. So yeah, I'm thinking of this as reps, if nothing else. So if you listen to this one, thanks. I hope you got something from it. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe see you in the next one.